Day 6 at the World Championship started with a Spanish double in the race walk, but it ended with the Jamaicans with a flurry of medals. We got everything today: fast times, big jumps, massive throws. We even got a buggy collision. All of that and more as we unpacked some of the greatest things that we saw today. Tentoglu at the end in a dramatic finish to take goal away from the Jamaicans in the men's long jump. Femke Bol buried the mixed relay disappointment and ended the championship with an impressive run over the women's 400 meters hurdles. And Antonio Watson, the surprise package, wins the men's 400 meter final. And that's where we should start tonight. And in what is a 40-year victory for the Jamaicans in a making, it happened tonight. And I felt like I was prophetic in terms of, not that I knew the Jamaicans would ever win. No one predicted this at the start of the championships. But when I started a bunch of quiz on the community channel, one of the questions I had was, who won the first 400 meter men's title in the inaugural World Championships? And obviously the answer to that is Bertland Cameron from Jamaica. And 40 years later, another Jamaican, Antonio Watson, a kid coached by Glenn Mills, is now the world champion. And for a country with a rich history of 400 meters, you have to think that it's a long time coming, but also you're happy, if you're a Jamaican, that this is something that you hope will see years to come. One can only imagine what the likes of a Herb McKinley, a Arthur Wint, a Les Lang, Roden, what they would be thinking. I'm sure they would be all happy to know that their legacy, the legacy of 400 meter running out of that tiny island nation, they now have another person who is not only winning their first title at a major games, but also a youngster that can continue to develop and hopefully inspire another generation of 400 meter runners. So I want to thank everybody for joining me, because tonight I'm going to unpack a number of things tonight, spectacular things. And let's start again, I guess, by putting up the results for the men's 400 meters, because it was fantastic running. Antonio Watson, superb. I mean, going into that final, obviously, we lost the likes of a Stephen Gardner. It was a wide open final. We knew Karani James was there, but we knew he had a problem in terms of losing his coach, the kind of trauma he went through. Didn't look like himself, did enough to get into that final. Wade Van Niekerk was looking good all season up until that Diamond League. Coming into this championship, you thought he would be able to deliver. Clearly nothing there. And in the semifinals, you saw the former medalist from the last time, the Briton, the Matthew Hudson-Smith, look really good. And you wonder to yourself, with him, the likes of a Norwood, even a Quincy Hall running well to get into that final, along with Watson, you felt that it was anybody's game. And I went to my bed last night thinking, you know, this kid is going to win this because he has no pressure. You know, his cool head on his shoulders. And he went out there and he delivered in fine fashion. Powerful. Hudson-Smith was leading and looking strong in the home stretch. But the 21-year-old figured it out. He found a way and he pushed ahead. And he won that 400 meter title in a time of 44.22 seconds. It's an amazing run. Hudson-Smith coming second, personal best 44.31. Also a personal best for Quincy Hall, 44.37, just 200 of a seconds faster than his American compatriot, Vernon Norwood. And spare a thought for Vernon Norwood, the guy that's been on a lot of relays, finally makes his team, individual team, and you thought to yourself, maybe Vernon would have been able to do something. Thank you everyone for joining me. I'm unpacking day 6 of the World Championships. But it was impressive, very impressive run by Watson, finishing ahead of HUDSON-SMITH, Quincy Hall, Norwood, the other Jamaican, Sean Bailey. And, you know, Wade Van Niekerk finishing way down, and Karani James, unfortunately, was disqualified. But this is impressive, and this is big running for Jamaica. If you are a fan of the 400 meters, you know, I've often talked about this on this show and with others, how it's an area that Jamaica has underperformed, particularly in the men. And now they're getting back to a state where you see a crop of youngsters coming through, and the kid Watson gets his chance, and immediately he takes his chance. There's no Gardner. Whatever happened to Van Niekerk, he didn't matter. The thing about the kid was fearful, and when he was fearless rather. And when you looked at some of the post-race interviews, he's just like, I executed. I ran my own race. Nothing. He shifted nothing. He didn't do anything out of the ordinary. And at one point, I thought he was out of it because I felt like he didn't run the second 50 off the curve. So coming around 300 and at the top of the bend, I didn't think he came off as good as he should. You know, probably ran that a little bit too easy. But he found a way, and he, you know, just pushed to that line. And I think it was impressive running from Antonio Watson. Long may it continue. Hopefully get some rest. Same for Sean Bailey. Credit to Sean Bailey for making a major final. And if you think about a likes of a Chris Taylor, who's not around making finals, there's a bunch of guys, if they can come, stay healthy. And I'm also thinking about, you know, those who aren't here, that will create a new sense of running the 400 meters, because the 400 meters is a legacy that I think they've played around with for a long time, and we have to go back to the likes of a Greg Horton or his name is slipping me right now. I'm seeing his face, who would have also won medals here. And it's so good to see, since the great Burt Cameron won in '83, now to get one 40 years later. So hats off to Watson. Hopefully the Jamaicans can come back, fresh legs, and they will be able to perform creditably well in the 400 meter 4x4 relay. I think they have a lot of talent there, or at least enough firepower to make sure they get on the medal podium. Thanks everyone for joining me with unpacking what's going on. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Let others know that we're on live. And yeah, let me know if you're impressed by the performances this evening. What was your most impressive event of the night? What was a standout performance? And also, we'll be giving away a prize tomorrow, so make sure you come on the live tomorrow. You get a chance to win something. All right. So if Watson was impressive, another runner for me was equally impressive, somewhat expected as well. And we have to go to the women's 400 meter hurdles. Femke Bol, as we said, was a pre-race favorite. I thought she would have been running a race all by herself. In a way, she was running all by herself because I don't think the others had the ability to catch her. They were a little bit closer than I anticipated. At one point, I was saying maybe Femke could run a 51 flat, but in thinking through this and especially considering what would have happened in the mixed 4x4, you would think that the best thing was to collect the gold medal, especially since nobody was in her class. No one can go sub 52 Actually, nobody in the race outside of Femke could even run a low 52. And so it's an easy win. There's no need to try and attack the world record because I don't think she's in the world record shape. And there's no reason to win in 51 flat the way I was thinking. But Femke was superb. Comfortably, I thought, in victory. 51.70. It's ridiculous time. There's, obviously only Sydney McLaughlin has run faster than Femke Bol has. But a battle between the Jamaican Rochelle Clayton and Shamira Little from the United States. 52.80 for Little, her season best, and a big personal best also for Clayton to get onto that medal podium. 52.81. Very impressed by Clayton because she ran really hard and really good in these championships to get onto that medal podium, making sure that she was getting into the final as well. Our semi-final run was equally impressive. I mean, there's an era record for Adekoya, but I don't really want to talk about her. I mean, I guess I should talk about her, but whatever. Anna Cockrell, I thought, would have run better, but she did pick up a personal best. And when you do that, you can't necessarily fault anyone. But I thought she would have been. I thought Anna was capable of running a lower, closer to 52, but I guess that wasn't the case tonight. And the likes of a Genevieve Russen and Knight from Jamaica faded as well. I didn't think that they delivered, particularly Genevieve. I thought, given the speed she had over the 400 meters this year and what we saw earlier, I thought she would have been, at least going into the championships, Jamaica's chance of getting on a medal podium. But Clayton was very impressive and a number of good running, great performance. I think Little was really, to come back from, when was the last time Little was in a medal position at these championships? Probably back in 2015, if my memory serves me correct. It's a bit of a long time. And so there's no shame. There's 2 races here, probably about 2 and 3 races somewhat on display. But an impressive performance by Femke Bol. Doesn't really necessarily make up for the mishap in the mixed relay, but it also shows her resilience to shake that off, come back and deliver for her country. And we'll see what happens next year, because I think Femke had the capability this year to run a 51 flat, especially with the kind of background training she did and the indoor world record over 400 meters. Maybe next year is the year. I'm not quite sure if Sydney will go back to the 4 hurdles next year. You never know what Bobby Kersey tries to do, but maybe she might just run the 400 meters. So Femke gets another chance next year to do something amazing. So thank you everybody for joining me so far. We're here unpacking some of the great performances of the night. And from one great performance, because as we said tonight, the Jamaicans showed up in some impressive ways, a flurry of medals, and I want to go to another gold medal from the Jamaicans tonight in a way that I don't know if anybody had this in terms of their prediction. I certainly didn't. I probably should have felt this, but I didn't. And I want to touch on the women's 100-meter hurdles. And we've been saying this for years. This is the most competitive event in track and field, because at any given day, anybody can win this. And it's a real true testament to the quality of the women. We're missing this year, obviously, the likes of a Brittany Anderson. We lost Masai Russell, having a fantastic season earlier. But this was a top-class field. You had a former world record holder. You had the Olympic champion there in the form of Jasmine Camacho-Quinn, who doesn't give anything away. We had a former 100-meter hurdle champion from 2015 in the likes of Danielle Williams. You had Charlton. You had the world record holder in the race, the defending champion. You had Neela Ali, who I thought was going to come and deliver something massive as well. Kambunji this year breaks the Swiss national record. So it was a tough thing. And then you have to clear the barriers. But who saw Danielle Williams? And I want to shout her out big time because I never saw it. But I was saying to myself, I was sending a video today to my producer because earlier this summer, and I said it last night on the live, earlier this summer, I was all over the United States, but I got a tour of the athletics facility at Johnson-C-Smith, which is our alma mater. And if you go in there, there's a picture of Danielle Williams with a bunch of titles. I think there's also a picture of Leaford Green in there. And you know, I was there and I was looking at Danielle and I was like, whew, I wonder if Danielle could do something this year. And I saw her as like 2015 world champion. Wonder if she could do something. But I never, in my wildest dreams, thought that she would be anywhere close to winning this title. I mean, it didn't even come to mind. I even put out a poll this morning where I didn't even include Danielle, and I don't think anybody did. And this was an impressive run. Everything worked well for her. She was out like a bullet. She was clearing the hurdles well. She finished strong. That dip was fantastic because they were coming. CAMACHO-QUINN was coming. Kendra was coming. And I want to start with Kendra before we get back to the brilliance of Adalia Williams to be only a part of a select few women who have won the world championship twice. I believe Michelle Perry did it. Who else did it? Is it Pearson? I think Sally did it. Kendra comes to this championship, and good evening, Brian. Thank you for joining me tonight. And yes, before I break that down, yeah, nobody did exactly. Nobody did. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Kendra comes to these championships, and she obviously under Bobby Kersey this time runs a 12:24. Pushes her up to what? Is it fourth on the all-time list or somewhere around there? Just outside our PB of 12:21, which was the former world record. And then, oh yeah, Gail. How can I forget Gail? Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, this is the thing when you're thinking on the fly. Yeah, the great Gail Divas, who, yeah, lots of stories about Gail, but that's for another day. But thanks for reminding me on that. Yeah. And you end up running a 12:24, then you come back with a 12:3 in the semi. Then you run a very fast time. I still think 12:4 in the final is not nothing to walk home saying you didn't run well. But you had to win this. You really had to win this if you're a Kendra Harrison. And I really don't understand. Because when you put the series like that and you don't win it, it's a problem. It's like last year. It's like when Toby breaks the world record last year in the semifinals. If she doesn't come back out and win that gold medal, everybody's going to question why. And we know Kendra sometimes doesn't, how can I put this mildly? Because I really like Kendra. You know, doesn't quite deliver when you expect her to deliver. And so she walks away with the bronze medal. I don't think she's happy about it, but I guess it's a competitive affair in the women's 100-meter hurdle, so you have to take it. But a shout out to Jasmine Camacho-Quinn, because I'm telling you, she doesn't give things away easily. She works really hard and, you know, barely misses out on that gold medal. Last year, she was really fighting, I guess, behind Brittany Anderson as well, so for that silver medal. So Camacho-Quinn, the Olympic champion, is always in the mix, and this is a interesting way of thinking about it. Let me get a couple things here, some comments. I see a lot of people coming on. Good evening. Oh, had I put a wage on Danielle, I would have been a few $1,000s richer right now. But who would send Clay? Who would do it? Unless you were, you know, you're just, you know, wasting a little coffee money or something of the sort. But Danielle Williams was sensational tonight. Sensational. And yeah, 8 years. Imagine that. 2015 to now, what? 8 years. Imagine winning a world title that late. Again, you know, at some point you have to think she thought that it would never come back. And I think I saw one of the call room, not the call room, but when she was going through the media center, one of the interviews where she was saying this one is much sweeter than the first because the distance between the first medal, and she's had her fair share of injuries. She also crashed out, obviously, as you famously know. There's times she didn't make the team because it's really a competitive affair, and I wonder what the likes of a Megan Tapper would be thinking, and feel bad for Megan because Megan suffered a tough fate twice in a row. She has a 12-5 and couldn't make it into the final. But it was good to see that the Jamaicans got their medal, and good to see Danielle winning again. Charlton out of Bahamas looked good earlier, couldn't quite get it together as well. Akira Nugent, major big breakthrough for her. I'm not quite sure if Akira might go pro. She's still we're ready for that, but she could. I mean, big talent. Kambunji Nila Ali was the surprise for me. I thought she would have been, she had some trouble obviously, but I feel bad for Nia, rather, not Nina, Nia, because of all her history and how she fought back to come back as well. But what about the world record holder, Toby Amerson? This is the question. I haven't seen any post-race interviews of Toby. If you've seen it, let me know what she said. I've seen CAMACHO-QUINN, I've seen Kendra, I've seen Danielle, but I haven't seen all. But Toby, and I need to talk to my contact that's there in Budapest, Deja, who's covering the Nigerian athletes in particular. I thought that, I just didn't know what kind of state Toby was in, because to get the clearance just on the eve of the championship, you think there's some mental thing going. It has to impact you because you don't know, even though you might be training and preparing, it just doesn't make sense because there's uncertainty too, because you're not quite sure if you'll win the case, even if you think your case is strong. And she comes to the championship, and then also I think she's getting pressed. And thank you for sharing that, Bisu, because I didn't see anything. It must have impacted her, because you can't there's nobody who can just park that kind of situation in the back of your mind and continue to perform as if it's normal. So it must have affected her. But what I think also affected Toby throughout this point, and I think Toby probably should have just avoided the media for the whole rounds, is that because she didn't do a press conference before or anything, then people would have asked you about the whereabouts violation or asked you about how you won the case. And especially when the AIU had put out a statement saying they might potentially challenge it. So Toby needed to probably not talk to anybody. And I think during the rounds, that may have played a factor as well. But the preparation had to be affected, as you pointed out, and she had to admit that. And I know top athletes don't want to say that because they're really focused on what they're doing. But there's no other way to think about it. She didn't have like 10 days before, 2 weeks before. It was just like literally at the 9th hour, they allowed her to come to these championships. So it must have impacted her. But to get to the final, and she ran a couple good races around during the rounds, but just that's not enough, I think. And so let's see what happens next year. But it's a competitive space, and if you're not at your best, other women will take you down. This is how it's good. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button. Let me get to a couple comments here because I may have missed some of them. Good to see you, Imran. Yeah, we got to talk about some cricket. I know you're probably mad with me, but I've been doing a lot of track and field. But St. Clair is saying, oh, she signs with Adidas. Yeah, I think Akira Nugent, big talent. I think a lot of good sprint hurdlers are coming out of Jamaica. This is probably one of the hardest things for them to make, and maybe one of them need to try and win the Diamond League at some point in order to get an automatic bid, because the quality is there. And you imagine when a Brittany Anderson comes back next year, plus next year is an Olympic year, so only 3 spots. We'll see. How are you doing, Angel? Good evening. You want me to tag you? What's your thoughts on what's happening today? And appreciate you for joining tonight and so on. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining. That was an impressive high quality sprint hurdling. I watched it about 10 times. I still need to watch it again for some more technical analysis here, but it was good, and I'm happy for Danielle Williams because you never really know. She's a wonderful woman, and she's gone through a lot. And yeah, I feel like all the stuff I've been thinking about indirectly this year is coming through in some interesting ways. All right, I want to move to another high quality event because, as we said, the Jamaicans went really impressive tonight. And I want to talk about the men's long jump because men's long jump tonight was a fascinating affair. I hope you guys saw all of the jumps. And, Tentoglu, in the end, he wins. And congratulations to him. He's a serial winner now. And he knows how to get it done. He wins it on the on the sixth and final jump. And so Wayne Pinnock has to go home with a silver, which he should not be upset by. Jumping 850. Tajay Gale, getting season's best 827, just ahead of Kieran McLeod, who I think if any of the Jamaicans tonight would have been disappointed, not in their performance, but because I think something wasn't going right with Kiri. I think he wasn't at his best in the final. It would have been him because in the qualifying round, as you saw, McLeod went out in a massive way. What was it? 854, I believe. And but it is good to see. We've never seen two Jamaicans on the podium in the men's long jump. And the jumps in Jamaica now is in a good space. There's obviously a large contingent when you think about coming out of Arkansas, when you think about what the likes of a Jaden Hibbert, and had he not gotten injured in the triple jump final, you never know. We would have been probably celebrating an 18-meter jump and a big gold medal as well. But Hibbert is young, and we talked about him before. But if you want to talk about him again, I'm sure we can do that. But it was good to see. But I'm also happy for Gale in an interesting way because he's also suffered some injuries over the last few years as well, knee of some sort, and it was a big jump by him to equal the performance. And McLeod just didn't have enough to do it. But to get a silver medal and a bronze medal is very, very good. I think I've often said this, and I've had this conversation with a number of people, Leighton Levy, all different types of people we've talked about, that there needs to be a bigger focus on the jumps because there's a lot of talent. We should be popping out a lot of jumpers, triple jump, even high jumping, and so on. And there's some reasons for why those aren't as important as we think they should be, and why people don't focus on them. But there's a lot to do there, and you can make a good living, I imagine, off of going around and performing on the Diamond League circuit or the Continental Tour. But big shout out to Wayne Pinnock. Obviously, Tentoglu deserves it. He, when you make that big jump and you do it at the end, that's how it goes. Yeah. No, you're right too. I mean, yeah, that did look good as well. I mean, I think Gale was in better shape than I thought he would have been in, and so, but this means now what? He has now 2 major medals, 2019 champion, back again. Who knows next year, the Jamaicans, if they're healthy and they could be, they will start in good positions here. I mean, there's a couple surprises on this. Dendy didn't do anything that we wanted him to do. I was shocked by that. E-Hammer also disappointing. None of them getting over 8 meters. The Indian national record holder also shocked me. I thought he would have, maybe his big jump early was too early in the season. Wang also, I thought Wang would have been doing much better, but he didn't either. So, but all in all, I thought it was a good, healthy jumping. The crowd seemed to be into it. And, 850 is decent. I think 850 is decent. I'd like to see, I think that's the minimum. I think that should be winning major championships at 850 there. I'd like to see more 860 jumps and so on, but maybe I'm nostalgic for the Carl Lewis days and the Mike Powells and so on, or even Dwight Phillips. But yeah, we need to see big jumping. Thank you everybody for joining me tonight. What was your performance of the night? I've covered some stuff, but I'm happy to talk about it again. Where are you joining? Don't forget that tomorrow we're doing a giveaway. We have a giveaway tomorrow on tomorrow's live. So join us for that. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get it. Let me get to some of the comments that I've missed here. Very happy to see Amar Brown back. Yeah, Yannick getting better and excited for a healthy Brittany and Karika Hill. Yeah, I think in the next few years it's going to be probably you're going to a Jamaica National Trials, and if you're not going close to 12:20, 12:30, you might not make it. And that's how it works, that's how it works. And I mean, if that's what it takes to get to that elite status, then that's what it takes. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, not bad. Yeah, I know what you mean. It is impressive. It is very impressive. Likes of, when was the last time? Obviously we have had it in 2019, but there was a period in the 90s where James Beckford would have been on a lot of major podiums, and now we are now getting back to see, and it's healthy to see a bunch of guys that are capable of going really big. So I thank you everybody for your input, and yeah, I think I covered that already. Yeah, that big jump and so on. So yeah, that was an impressive thing. I mean, we're going to go through a number of things. I want to talk about the women's and men's 200 meters, obviously. Quickly, just since we're in the mix of the finals, I think we should just give a shout out to the women's hammer, because I thought the hammer throw was really good. We saw some impressive the Canadian Rogers upgrading her silver medal from last year. Very good. The American also getting into second place. Price as well, impressive. We had lost the defending champion Anderson earlier, but a good competition, a good 77 meters, 76 meters. I think the hammer is in a good space, and hopefully it will continue. So I just wanted to plug that. I know this is track and field live, so we have to talk about every single thing when it comes to track and field. But I want to move along and go back to the early part of the session, and we talk about the results from the 200 meters, because we saw everything in the 200 meters. I mean, it started out with drama, and we have to. I really want to see the official report when people, can explain to me exactly why we have golf buggy collisions at the World Championships. Why are we having these world-class athletes in a situation where they could really get seriously hurt? Like, how is that a thing? And it was very unfortunate, because we were held up at the start of the men's 200 meters because the guys that were in heat semifinal number 1 were involved in an accident. A T-boning occurred. And unfortunately I guess all of them were okay, but unfortunately, Andrew Hudson, the Jamaican champion, he had some glass, some that went into his eyes. He ended up finishing 5th, but the World Athletics, in what is only rightly an important thing, allowed him they advanced him into the final. And this is also the good thing of having a 9-lane track. So he's into the final because he was rightly complaining. He had to receive medical attention. He wasn't seen properly. And I know some people might say, well, maybe he would not have gotten into the final. We don't know, but it's really unfortunate for these individuals. But how good is Noah Lyles? I mean, impressive, really easy. 1976. That is out there. And I think he was trying to shut it down. And I'm wondering to myself now, is he really in a 19.2 shape? Because part of me is saying, if you want to run 19.2, if you want to get to close to that Usain Bolt record, which I'm still not quite sure you can get to, at least not after rounds, after doing the 100 and this. But maybe Lyles is just in a kind of shape that he's really trying to get close to that. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, like, I just can't wrap my mind around it. But after I saw that 1976, I'm getting a little. I'm starting to wonder how fast he's gonna run, because it's gonna be competitive. He easily won that race, and there's not really any competition there. But can Lyles break the world? Can Lyles break the world record? Huh? Can he do it? You know, Rodney, I thought disappointed as well. The Canadian, I thought he was going to do better. Only the top two went through from that heat, but yeah, can he do it? Well, let me get to this comment. That Canadian lady wasn't playing. Oh yeah, in the hammer throw, she was really on point there. Yeah, definitely. So Jared, you're thinking that Noah can break the world record? He might. I don't know. I mean, 1919 is out there. I mean, I'm thinking he has to make up like a what? Is that about 2 meters on the 1931? I think he's definitely in better shape than he was last year for sure. There's no question about it. He's faster. Yeah, I know. We'll see it. I mean, records are there to be broken, and we'll see what happens there. Yeah. Thank you. Knighton and Hughes will battle for bronze. Lyles and Tobago for top spot. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that in a second for sure. And speaking about that, I thought, semifinal number 2, which I think became the first semifinal because of the unfortunate incident, had the likes of Kung Fu Kenny, who looked good. He and Tobago were cruising, and he basically, they kind of did the Andre DeGrasse Usain Bolt look across the line type of situation. Both of them going sub 22. Only those two qualified. Unfortunate for Lindsay, who ran a 22-22, didn't make it into the final, and Brown got DQ'd, obviously. But I mean, we can't count out now Kung Fu Kenny because he's been resting, but this may be a little bit too far for him. I think Let's See Le Tobago will definitely run probably a 19.4, mid 19.4. But we'll see. We'll have to see. And I'll get to some of these comments here. Let me get to them. So this is an interesting point you're making about the track not being fast. And this is where I'm not quite sure, right? I mean, look, one of the interesting things about Budapest and the stadium, because this track should be fast, because this track is I think it's the new Mondo track that they just designed. I think it's the same surface, if I'm not mistaken. I almost did a video on this, but I didn't get a chance to do it. That they had in Tokyo. It could be just because of the design. The way of that stadium is that you're not really benefiting from any kind of tailwind of such, right? Most of these most races are like barely getting any win. Sometimes you might be getting a little bit of a negative win, which I'm also kind of surprised by because it's almost enclosed. And so, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe you're right on it, maybe, but it should be the same kind of surface that offered that kind of a support structure to the guys in Tokyo, and that we remember was a thing, Yeah. You're right, Jada. This is what I'm saying. 1919 is not easy. I think we're thinking about a 2-meter gap there from the 1931, which is his best. I could see him going a 1924. I could see him beating that Johan Blake second fastest of all time, which is what, 1926. I don't know. I mean, 1919 is up there. It is up there, but if he gets off, he has to get off the curve faster. He has to start better, which he's improving on. But I think he will, I think he will try his utmost to do it, but it's gonna be hard. It's beer. Yeah, I just can't see it because I don't know where you find 2 meters. I could see him finding a meter, but 2, it's out. That's a lot. Hi, Doreen, how are you doing? Yeah, I don't see him breaking the record. Still not seeing nobody giving us that kind of race we get from Bolt. Yeah, I mean, Bolt was a generational guy, the best ever. Many of us say this, and I always say this. I've saying this for years, but when you say it in certain times, that people think like you're setting up yourself for when Niles eventually breaks it, that you're saying this. But we have to remember what Usain did. First of all, I think Usain could have and should have gone 19 flat. Potentially could have gone there. Because even those years when he went, that was also a car accident year, I think, as well. But we don't know. But the thing about what Usain did, and nobody can do it because of the structure changing, is that there's more rounds they had then than now. So it's not the fault of Noah, but I don't think he won't run as many rounds in order to get to that stage. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, if he gets close to it, I mean, just the fact that we have somebody who's saying that they potentially could break the world record is just excitement. And if he gets close to it, then well done, right? And if he breaks it, then that would be even more impressive. But it's very hard to. It's very very hard. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Oregon, it's always a super fast track there, and also because of the conditions. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining me. Don't forget to join me tomorrow as well. I'm doing a giveaway tomorrow night, and if you're on the live tomorrow, everybody will get a chance to win that giveaway. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, notification bell. I appreciate everything you're saying. I appreciate all of you on the channel. I appreciate your input, and if you want to say something, don't forget to put things there, because that way we can put it on the screen. If Taboga is beside Lias after the curls, then Lias is toast. That's interesting. I think in that was it the London Diamond League or whichever one, where I think Noah for the first time felt somebody on him, which is another thing we should bring up, because Noah is a guy that's used to running by himself most of the time. He's barely been beaten. So there's also that kind of pressure situation when other athletes who are capable of getting off the curve with him or in front of him, that's also equally fast. DeGrasse beat him in Tokyo. That's something that we can't forget. But he's used to winning, and I think this Tigboga kid is the future. We see it. He may be the one to break the world records. He's an amazing athlete, head on his shoulder, and I like him. So I think he'll be up there for silver. He could even win it, right? Who knows? But we'll have to see. This is also him running rounds. Exactly, Brian. Richardson dropped 10.60. It is I think the track is the same Mondo Class 1 surface. I could try to pull it up, but I'd looked at it earlier this year because I wanted to do something like a video on the track itself, and I think it's the top of the line surface that they have. There's nothing better than it. I think it's just the conditions of Budapest, probably in terms of the stadium not allowing any air to come in, and we'll see. Yeah. Brian is saying Bolt was in better shape in 08 than 9. Yeah, I think he wasn't. Yeah, but I think he was also tired. I think 08 showed him something where, I don't know what he would have run if he hadn't turned around sideways and start beating his chest. It could have been 9.6 flat at that time. I'm not quite sure, but he was really tired. And I think that was also him going all guns out. I think he was in better shape at the start of 18, but we don't know. Yeah. Thank you for joining me all the way from Greece, and congratulations to Tentoglu. Tentoglu is class act, big time jumper. He shows up when it matters, and it's good to see. I appreciate you joining us on the channel, and yeah, I've never been to Greece. That's also on my list of things to do. I'll probably be there. No, it was excellent competition by Wayne Pinnock. Unfortunately, McLeod wasn't as at his best again, but it's good and healthy. I like to see where the long jump is, and I think it's in healthy space. I am always a big fan of a long jump, and I want these guys to start constantly jumping the 8.6 and so on, right? I think we can go back to those days where I know Carl is a once in a generation guy in terms of his consistency, Carl Lewis that is, but I think it can be done again, and I think minimum is an 850 for me at a major championship, and we got it. We got 852, 850, and I'd like to see 840s or 30s in a bronze medal position, but it is healthy. And then we also, I think, I didn't even review the second one. The third heat, which I think was the second heat semifinal. The kid, Aaron Knighton, looked super smooth. I think he backed off a little bit. Zarnell came up on him, Zarnell Hughes. And I think he had to make sure that he held that top 2 position. But he also looks comfortable. He didn't run any races. He didn't run 100 meters. So like Kung Fu Kenny, Aaron is also fresh. I don't think he wants to give up his medal. So I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a really competitive 200 meters. And I think Zarnell is in fantastic shape, and that he may very well lower the British record that he set earlier this year when he broke John Regis' record. But Zarnell is in good shape. And how about Andre DeGrasse? Andre DeGrasse is that kind of dude that just, it doesn't matter what kind of season he's having, he somehow finds his way to get into a major final or do something out of the ordinary, potentially win some stuff sometimes. I don't think he's anywhere close to medaling or doing anything, but for him to just find himself back into a championship final, it speaks volumes of his ability to do that. Fambule also, qualifying as well from that semifinal. So it sets us up nicely for the final in the final tomorrow, right? And yeah, let me know. Give me a top 3 for the 200-meter final come tomorrow, and we can do the lane assignment stuff in a bit after we talk about the women. And thank you everybody for joining me. Hit that like and subscribe button, notification bell, because that's how you know. And then we have a giveaway tomorrow. We're just gonna do it on the live tomorrow night, so make sure you're around for that if you want a chance to get into that. And so if the 200-meter men's were exciting, I want to say equally exciting for me was the 200-meter semifinal for women. And I think we're going to get something super fast here, but we'll get into that. So semifinal number 1 was won by Gabby Thomas, sensational athlete, going sub 22, 21.97 ahead of Dina Asher-Smith. I liked how Dina ran that curve. She was looking quite comfortable going down. And then Gabby started to do a little stepping and eventually overtook her, won both Dina and Gabby comfortably through. At that point in time, the Jamaican white was waiting in the queue room, I guess awaiting a time to qualify. Unfortunately, she didn't make it and she was out, but also, a decent run in 22.52. Yeah. And second semifinal, I think that was the slowest of the lot, was it? I have to check again. Julian Alfred from St. Lucia. I just can't wait to see what Julian Alfred. I know I'm already going into the future, but I think Julian has so much talent and ability that come next season, I think we'll really see how good she is, because this is a time when she no longer has to run in college. They can time everything. Julian is running like 40 something. Is it like 45, 46 or almost close to 50 races this season already? And so to come to these championships and continue to deliver is hard, but she found a way. And I was also equally impressed by Daryl Nita. Had to do a personal best to get into the straight qualification of the 200-meter final. I thought Nita was out of it this year. I didn't like how she looked in the 100 meters earlier, and I was like, I didn't have a lot of high hopes, and she found a way. And then Strawn from Bahamas, good to see that another Caribbean athlete in the mix. And then White and Davis also recording the same time. I think Kevona Davis and Kayla White has a lot of talent as well. I think we'll see more from them in the future, and especially like a Davis too, also a long collegiate season. However, the semifinal of the night featured the silver medalist from the 100 meters, the gold medalist from 100 meters as well, the defending champion in Shericka Jackson, who, if you had to ask me, I don't know if she was even out of reverse. That was a superb semifinal. And not only because it sets you up to think how fast she may be able to run, I thought it was an excellent execution in energy preservation. She gets off the curve nice. As soon as she got off, it was just like nothing. She was cruising, she was checking. Talu was in the mix. Richardson starts to work a little bit harder to make sure she gets into it. Then she also starts to cool it off. And all these three women go through, Talu coming third, also qualifying. I don't expect Marie-Josée Talu to do much over 200 meters, but Jackson looks superb. And who knows? That championship record could go. It's going to be a big run, big run. I think Shericka Jackson will also not only be running just because she wants to win and also run a fast time, but equally, I think the 100 meters would play a little bit on her mind, because coming into that championship, she had the fastest time in the world, and there's an expectation that if she had executed well, she may have been able to be on top of the podium. That didn't happen. Sha'Carri ran a wonderful 10:65 out of lane 9. And so I think you will get to see a very fast time. We should remember that Gabby Thomas has the fastest time of the year already at 21:60. I think those two are on course to do something big time. I expect the big running, the bulk of the running, to come from Jackson, Thomas, and I think Richardson will show something. I think, she might give us a 21:8 or a 21:7. We'll see how it works. But I really think that Shericka Jackson can run a 21:4 or better this time. If she comes off that curve the right way and slingshots her way onto that stretch, that speed endurance is there. Nobody has better speed endurance. Sha'Carri has the better top end speed. But, Shericka is not way far off. And once she holds it, she can hold it for a minute. And so I expect fireworks. How fast do you think the women's 200 meters will go? Do you think Shericka can break the world record? I hate to talk about the world record, but it's the softer of the two world records from Flojo. So I think, I don't want to put any pressure, but I believe Shericka could potentially run faster than she did in Oregon. Again, it depends also on the conditions. If it's a negative, if she's running into a headwind, that might pose some challenges. Additionally, it's unlikely she'll get any assistance from a tailwind, given what we've been seeing, especially at night. It would be lovely if you get like a 1.5. That would, definitely made me feel like she could run a 21:3. But to pop up a 21:4 or even a sub 21:5 with zero wind or into a slight headwind, that would be an amazing achievement. So we have to see. But it's going to be fireworks tomorrow in the Athletic Center there in Budapest, and I'm here for it. Thanks again, everybody, for joining me. Don't forget to put your comments in the chat. Don't forget to like. When you like the video, it's not because I'm begging for validation. It also helps the algorithm to tell people that something cool is happening over here and other people should join. And also, don't forget to come back tomorrow night when we do our giveaway. So that was an impressive 200 meters. It sets us up nicely. Before I get into something else, I just want to quickly, for us to, if we can pull up, if I could ask my producer to pull up the lane assignments for tomorrow in terms of and I can pull it up on my iPad just to look real quickly. And I think it's going to be a fantastic lane. So we start with the women tomorrow. So you got Talu in lane number 2, and Strawn in 3, Asha Smith in 4, Nita 5, Jackson is in 6, Alfred 7, Gabby Thomas in 8, and Sha'Carri again is in lane 9. Can lightning strike twice? We'll see. I think if you have to think, if you're Shericka Jackson, you like this lane assignment, because the likes of a Gabby Thomas is in front of you, the likes of a Richardson is in front of you, also Alfred. In days gone by, I would say the likes of a Dina Asher Smith, you would probably want her in front of you too, but I don't think Dina is at the peak, and I don't think Dina can go better than a 21:9 this time, and I don't think 21:9 will pose any challenge for the likes of a Shericka Jackson. So yeah, I mean, Jackson has everybody in front of her that I think could pose a big challenge. Yeah, so that is setting us up nicely, and I want to quickly look at the men's lane assignment as well. Hudson's in 1, obviously got in because of the eye injury, and World Athletics got him in. Ooh, Lyles also. If you are Noah Lyles, you gotta like this, because Taboga is in 9, Knighton is in 8, Kung Fu Kenny Bednarak is also in 7, Lyles is in 6. This is interesting. I mean, I know these line draws are done by a random assignment after you rank top athletes versus the non-top athletes. But come on, could it ever be any more clearer what's going on here? But yeah, it sets us up nicely for an impressive 200 meters that will cap off a nice Friday night section. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to quickly go over some of the results that we have over men's 800 meters. I won't take much time there. I thought that, it was really good. I thought Mula was really nice in terms of, doing a sub 144 to automatically qualify again ahead of the Botswanan and also the guy from Great Britain coming in as well. So all three went through, calculated. If Mula, the Algerian guy, he's gonna run like that. I think he is good. Second semi-final, I was also impressed by Arup from Canada. That guy has been running really well. He controlled the race. He wasn't in any kind of bother. And another Algerian in the final as well. And only two came through. But he, calm and collected. I anticipate Arup to be in the mix. The 800 meters this year is kind of an iffy kind of situation. We've lost a lot of big names in the opening round. I don't think people ran as well as they should. Certainly nowhere close to how the women had run their opening round yesterday. And heat number 3, we saw Wanyoni, which I think is also one of the pre-race favorites for me. Also on the sub 1 minute 44, 1:43.83, ahead of Ben and Bryce Hoppel, who I thought ran a stellar race because he had to be out there and trying to push it in order to follow Wanyoni as well. Finishing outside of the automatic qualifications, but getting in on a small queue. And so, we're setting up ourselves for a very fantastic 800-meter finals as well. So it's going to be exciting, And the only other thing we had for today, I think, it was the heats of the 5,000 meters, which, went okay. I don't think we lost anybody except for Kipkorir. I also thought something is off with the Kenyans and also Cornelius Kemboy. We lost him today as well. Something is not right this year with the Kenyans. Let me get to this before I continue. Our guy may get. I think so. I think he might get on. He could potentially get on the podium. You're right, but it's going to be interesting. I think it's wide open. I think it's definitely wide open. Maybe Wanyoni might gives himself a chance. But a bunch of guys qualifying for the 5,000 meters. I thought that was also cool. Mohamed Katir from Spain, who was who I was disappointed with earlier, but he looks like he's in good nick. The Ethiopians are there as well, so it should be a quality 5,000 meters. I mean, likewise, I think you will get Inga Britson again, this time trying to do something. We talked about Inga Britson suffering similar fate. Last night I called it a British heist, twice a British heist. And so we're in a state of maybe Jakob would come with a revenge again. Who knows? If someone can tell me why Jakob keeps losing these 1,500 meters, I'd like to know. Because, bitten once, bitten twice doesn't make sense to me. And especially when we know he can run, 120, he can run like 326 or something like that. It doesn't make sense. He has the potential to do that. Anyway, it's going to be a fantastic 5,000 meter finals as well. And we look forward to seeing that. So, I want to thank everybody for joining me. I mean, this has been a fabulous evening of track and field. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, if we haven't covered everything, certainly put it in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate everybody who've liked the video tonight, because that helps other people to see where we are. And make sure you're back again tomorrow, because I certainly want to give away something and give it away to a number of people as well. And so, it was good hanging out with you tonight. If we don't have any more comments to put on the screen and talk over, I wish for you to get up and watch some decathlon in the morning. And then wait for a good evening session. There's some certain kind of dramas happening too in the Jamaican camp when it comes to relays. We thought the US had some drama in their relay camp. Now we are seeing something else happening with the Jamaicans. Tomorrow is also qualifications for the 4x100 meter relay. We also get the women's semifinal in 800 meters. And yeah, the night will end with some lovely 200-meter running. And so I'm here for it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you come back on the channel. I appreciate everybody. Have a good, great rest of your night, wherever you're joining me from. I hope, if it's the morning or in the night, whatever, have a good evening. And if you're watching me on a rebroadcast, don't forget to put your comments there. I'll respond to them. And I'll see you next time. Hit the like button as you go out. Goodbye.